Welcome back. I'm your host, Soulgig.
Yo.
Or Factor Sin. Ugh. Hard to keep track of all my identities. Okay, so as you can see, we've got lots of emails to go through. 23 to be exact. So let's do this. Just like the sun, the serpent Sata lives and dies each day. The serpent Sata reminds me of the Ouroboros figure, you know, the serpent eating its own tail, a symbol of resurrection and infinity. It's another avatar of the Bennu bird, also known as the Phoenix. Best, Christine. Hi, I'm still on the case. Am in Scotland. Need your help. Stay in contact with Gary. Gerd Hank. So we heard from Gerd. News about Gerd Hank. You've surely received an email from Gerd. I'm the one who sent him your info. In fact, he never actually dropped the case. He continued to track the Phoenix in an unofficial capacity. He's focusing his efforts at this very moment on locating the Phoenix. He promised to contact me again in an hour to give me further instructions. Regards, best Gary. I just found another book by Rene Guénon on the subject of Dante and the Faithful of Love entitled Insight into the Christian Esotericism. A specific passage on page 62 made me shudder. Another important point is the one concerning the relationship between the Faithful of Love and alchemists. It consists of a figure in which 12 characters play symmetrically, forming 6 couples that represent as many initiatory degrees, ending with a single person placed at the center. The central figure holds in his hands the symbolic 2-headed rose, one masculine and the other feminine, and clearly identical to the hermetic ruby. Uh-oh, we lost connection. When I read this passage, it suddenly clicked. The 12 characters are his 12 victims. The Phoenix used the severed limbs of his victims to create a sort of monster, half man, half woman, a character endowed with mystical powers, a sort of mummy designed to receive a dead person's soul, that of the Phoenix after his death. Mason and his secretary effectively formed one such couple, the 2 Portuguese Copts another, etc. We've already known the link between the ceremony, the legend of Isis and Osiris. Those who investigated the first case also know of the Phoenix's interest in alchemy. Perhaps this all conflated in the Phoenix's mind. Perhaps he's following instructions from a book in which these influences are somehow blended. After all, alchemy originated in Egypt and itself appears influenced by esoteric Egyptian texts. Best, Christine. I'm going to pause real quick and we will get back our co-commentator. See you shortly. Okay, we're back and online.
Yo.
Yes, he's back. Okay. Next time you get Gerd online, ask him for info about level 8. Can't get in touch with Gerd at the moment. Best, Gary. Oh god, it's Theo again. You just know his emails are always walls of text. In a film on level 7, Jack Lorski informs us that the leader of the Scottish Faithful of Love, alerted by his Spanish compatriots, had the mission of protecting a priceless manuscript the secret society had inherited from the Templars. If the existence and origin of this manuscript were known, that might recast certain true historical facts in a new light and give rise to wild speculation. It's plausible that this manuscript arrived in Scotland during the era when the country like Portugal had become one of the safest places to hide this sort of documents. See my previous message, that is, starting in 1312. In this case, perhaps Pierre d'Almont himself brought it to Scottish lands. If it was priceless to the Templars, it could only be transmitted at the order from Grand Master to Grand Master, and that would mean that Jacques de Molay inevitably possessed it at some time. Contrary to popular notion, the October 13, 1307 arrest was not as unexpected as Philippe le Bel believed. Significant evidence suggests the Templars received warnings. Moreover, shortly before the attack, it's known that Jacques de Molay ordered the burning of a large number of Order's books. An official edict even circulated through the French commandeers, stressing that no information be divulged about the Order's rites and rituals in the event of arrest. The best proof of this warning is that the King of France was unsuccessful in gaining control of all the Order's riches, and that the entire temple fleet had out and out vanished from La Rochelle when the King's militia arrived to seize it. That is, moreover, the origin of countless legends circulating surrounding the existence of possible Templar treasure. One supposes that the leaks came from the Sentinels, despite their being responsible for the execution of the operation that Templars may have had in their own families. By warning them in order to save them, they surely allowed the Grand Master to entrust this manuscript to a knight for safekeeping. Let's go back some time and jump from 1307 back to 1118, for if this manuscript is very old, it may very well have been acquired by the Templars as far back as the very founding of the order. In fact, officially, the Order of the Poor Knights of Christ was created in 1118 to guarantee the safety of pilgrims en route to Jerusalem. However, we know that for 9 years, from 1118 to 1127, Hughes Dupin and the eight other founding members never fulfilled this mission, and what's more, no recruitment was undertaken during this period. We only know that the 9 knights spent 9 years searching the section of the palace of Bourdain II that had been granted them at their request, and which was located at the spot where the ancient Temple of Solomon once stood, and where the word Templar comes from. What were they looking for exactly? If it was this manuscript, that would attribute considerable value to it, and may give way to great speculation regarding its content. In any case, they must have found something important, for they all returned to France in 1127, and the order's regulations were hastily drawn up in 1128. Heavy recruitment was then undertaken across Europe, and vast donations began pouring in. We all know the rest. You'll find a detailed chronology of this episode on the following site. Sincerely, Theo Micros. P.S. To those who ask why Jacques de Molay let himself be arrested, given he was aware of the October 13th operation, my simple answer is that he feared for the Order's possessions, but not for his own life. And by fleeing, he would have implicitly acknowledged the Order's guilt, for, until the Council of Vienna, he continued to believe he would succeed in defeating it. In 1312, he realized his mistake, and he knew that all was lost. This perhaps explains why, 2 years later, having nothing left to lose but his life, he recanted his confessions, knowing full well this would be a fatal decision. Gerd just called me. We couldn't talk long. He told me he managed to finish the Phoenix's CD yesterday. Based on what he saw at the end, he didn't have time to tell me exactly what. He's come across a manor long time owned by the Phoenix's family. He headed straight to this manor, but it was empty. However, did manage to find a load of frightening things there, in particular a CD featuring murders filmed in an abandoned factory. He passed it on to Fort William local police, who will have it forwarded to the ICPA. He also found the plans to an abandoned factory located in northern Scotland near Inverness. He thinks this is where the Phoenix killed his victims after subjecting them to horrible torture. He may even still be hiding there. Gerd is heading to the factory at this very moment. He told me he may need our help once he's there. Best, Gary. It's all good. We've now got access to the entire code hidden in the films. You've now got to quickly help me localize the Phoenix's machine using the tracer I provided you at. I can't make it alone. Follow the instructions and do it quick. The Phoenix can cut his connection to your machine at any moment. Best, Gary. Don't forget to take care of the tracer. I can't do a thing without the codes. Best, Gary. What's going on? I still haven't received the valid codes from the tracer. I'm completely stuck without them. Only you can figure them out because the Phoenix is hacking into your machines. He may cut the connection at any moment. Hurry. Best, Gary. In his delirious statements, the Phoenix confirmed that what I was saying earlier. He not only claims that the Codex is the testament of Jesus, as hinted at by the rumors surrounding the text, but that its esoteric content was influenced by the Book of the Dead and the myth of Isis and Osiris. Of course, historians have stressed the influence of certain Egyptian texts on the pre-Christian Gnostic text. To go from here to validating the Phoenix's theory and claim the Codex is a magical compendium written by Jesus is a step I'm not willing to take, given I'm unfamiliar with the fellow's psychotic and delusional symptoms. Perhaps Theo can enlighten us on the subject. Best, Christine. In my previous email, I mentioned films found in the manor. The ICPA is in possession of them. I was able to watch several clips. I'll pass along the details. It's truly vile. With the ICPA's permission, I've nevertheless posted 3, not too gory clips online. You never know, a detail may prove useful to the case. Jack can be seen among the victims. There's also a young woman, Shirley Claire Kedley. The man must be the leader of the Scottish Faithful of Love. I was only 1 code short. Too bad. We were almost there. Careful, the codes may change. Best, Gary. Great, the codes are okay. I can now reach his IP address. Thanks. I'll keep you posted. I'll get right back to you. Best, Gary. Hola, I just have Gerd Hank our telephone. He tell me that he has totalmente descripted the CD and that he succeeded localizer the place where the Phoenix hiding. I know understood all explanations, but he is persuaded that Jessica is maybe still alive and that it is still possible she be saved. It is a question of time. He charged me to warn Miss colleagues in Scotland, but the communication was cut before he could give me the exact address. He spoke to me from abandoned factory in La Region de Inverness. The discovery of the cemetery near Kilmartin reminds me of a book I recommended you check out, The Temple and the Lodge by Michael Bagnet and Richard Lay. The authors recount the investigation they led researching traces of the Templars in the region of Argyll, Scotland. Not only did they find the very old Templar graves characteristic of the order, all anomalous for example, with only a sword engraved on the headstone, but also more recent graves between the 14th and 18th centuries, where one sees both Templar symbols, pawed cross, swords, etc., and Freemason symbols, compass, squares, etc. This lends further credit to the notion that Scottish Freemasonry, acknowledged as the oldest, originated directly with the Templar movement. Many sites linked to the Templars are mentioned by these authors. A great number of them are located in the Loch Awe region, the longest lake in Scotland, and an area the Phoenix seems to know quite well. Of course, the most important one is the cemetery of the Kilmartin Church, which contains numerous isolated Templar gravestones, but some are also found in the cemetery that surrounds the medieval chapel in Kilmory Knapp Chapel in South Kilmartin. As for the castles, note the ruins of the one in Innischonell, located in the middle of the lake. It was built during the 13th century and was occupied around 1308 by the close friend of Robert Bruce, his brother-in-law and ally Sir Neil Campbell. For a century and a half, it remained the main bastion of the Campbell clan and was then converted into a prison when the clan moved to Inverness. Note as well the castle in Dunstavgnog, at the very north of Loch Awe, not far from Oban, which dates back to the 13th century. They say it's haunted by mysterious green ladies, or the yet more imposing fortress of Sween by Loch Sween in southwest Loch Awe, which is without a doubt the oldest stone castle in Scotland, besieged and captured by Robert Bruce around 1308-1309. The Scottish chief made his main stronghold in the region. Sincerely, Theo Markrails. Do you know the Isle of Osiris, the Watcher? It's fine. Thanks to the codes I've managed to detect the Phoenix's IP address. And hang on, we're going to access the system. All you have to do is load the rootkit tool on the page following the usual procedure. The rootkit will appear in your toolbar. It's actually an access port that should allow us to penetrate the Phoenix's systems. We need only figure out his login and password. I'm launching an automatic routine to try and crack it, but it may take several days. Best, Gary. The case is moving forward. We think we're succeeded in locating the Phoenix's machine. In collaboration with the police, our computer specialist is trying to break into his computer at this very moment. Precise clues to facilitate his task may be uncovered in the next few hours. We therefore ask you to redouble your efforts. Keep up the good work. Steve Webbing. An idea. What if the Phoenix's login was precisely the word indicated on the Marotoic parchment? This would be one weird coincidence, but you never know. Just got a call from Gerd. He's reached the abandoned factory. He located the entrance leading to the Phoenix's hideout. The entrance is blocked, however. No way to open it. It's a reinforced door. If we manage on our end to get into the Phoenix's system, we can perhaps find a map or something else to help Gerd. He's waiting on site and refuses to call for backup and risk blowing everything. I don't know if you received my previous email about the new tool. I told we're close to the end. You must quickly download it from following the usual procedure. This tool is actually an access port that should allow us to penetrate the Phoenix's system once we've figured out his login and password. Don't forget to download it. Best, Gary. We finished it, and at the end of this part, really. Actually, I'm going to show something real quickly since we do have the time to at least do that. And, okay, so, here's the movies, the completed movies. As you can see something on it. 792 S pound and M1P0 and 9. What could it mean? Who knows? We will find out next part.